Okay, so this will deal with an angle of depression. This video, sorry, will deal with an angle of depression question. If you wanted the two triangle questions, Miss Moore's already done them. I will link them together in a playlist. So if you're checking that playlist there, I'm kind of grouping these videos together just to make it a little bit easier for you. So remember, when you're doing these questions on your upcoming test, you will, of course, be required to draw a diagram. So let's start off by reading through this question, seeing if we can actually make ourselves a diagram. So it says a teacher, very important person, is standing on a balcony watching a student below putting rubbish in the bin. Wow, isn't that awesome? That kid really showing responsibility, putting rubbish in the bin. The angle of depression to the student is 42 degrees and 11 minutes, and the distance in a straight line from teacher to student is 20 metres. How high is the balcony? So basically, there's a couple of things I want to talk about in this question. So here's our balcony, here's the teacher standing on it, here is the rubbish bin, and here is our student putting in rubbish in the bin. Oh Lord, what a kid, eh? So it basically says that the angle of depression, now remember, the first thing I always do is drawing my horizontal on my horizon in this particular question. And it says that the angle of depression that the teacher is looking at the student is 42 degrees and 11 minutes. Now, if we think about this, what have we got and what does it want us to find? So I'm going to draw this in, put in my right angle. It says it wants to know how high the balcony is, so I'm going to call that X. And then it's this part that's important in this question, the distance in a straight line. So it is actually this side that they're giving us, and they're telling us that that is 20 metres. Now be careful, because this distance here is not the one that we actually want. Now I might actually turn the document camera a little bit so that is actually straight, otherwise it just looks funny. So what is the problem with angles of depression? It's basically that here is my triangle, but here is my angle. This angle is not in this triangle. And so I'm actually going to teach you two ways in which you can actually look at this. Now, the way that I do it is that I basically go that this here is the same triangle as this here, because this length and this length are the same. They're X, and of course these two lines are the same. They're both 20 metres. And so I redraw this triangle out here just to make it a little bit easier for myself. X, 20, there's my right angle, and here is my 42 degrees and 11 minutes. And then my angle is actually inside my triangle. The other thing is basically, if you know a little bit about geometry, then this angle and this angle are called alternate angles, and alternate angles are equal. And so we can simply write that in, and there is our triangle here. And so we've got our angle inside our triangle. Either way is completely up to you. I would recommend that you do the one that makes the most sense to you. I might just actually clear that up a little bit, because it's a bit hard to see. So how do we go around solving this particular question? Once again, find your sides. So this is going to be my hypotenuse. Here's my angle, so this is going to be my opposite, and this is my adjacent side. So I don't have anything on the adjacent side for this particular triangle. And so I have my opposite and my hypotenuse. To show you that these are two of the same triangles, if I do the same thing, 20 is my hypotenuse, and if I draw my line through there, my opposite is also X. So it doesn't matter which one of these two triangles that you use. So now that we know we've got the opposite and the hypotenuse, then clearly this is going to be a sine question. So sine of my angle is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So there we go. Now all we need to do is put in our different values. So sine, now our angle in this is 42 degrees and 11 minutes. Our opposite side is X, and our hypotenuse is 20. So if we have a look here, once again, it's where we have our letter on the top of our fraction over here. So I'm simply going to times through by 20 on both sides, and that is going to tell me that, oh, hang on, I'm just going to come down a little bit. That is going to tell me that X is equal to 20 times sine 42 degrees and 11 minutes. I just managed to sit that in. I might actually do that properly. So that 20, hang on, 20 times sine 42 degrees and 11 minutes is equal to x. Now there's just a couple of things that I want to do when I'm using the calculator here, so I'm just going to bring that in. So how do we get 42 degrees and 11 minutes? Well, first off, I've got to go 20, turn it on first, check for degrees, 20 times sine, and then I want 42, and this is where we press our degrees, minutes, seconds button, and watch what happens. We get 42 degrees, and then I type in the 11, and I press that again, and I get 11 seconds. Pressing the equals button tells me that our value for x is 13.34 meters, of course, because that's how high our balcony is. Right, so that was an angles of depression question. You may have noticed that for some reason I can't keep things straight, but if you want to, of course, practice these, then you should be looking through this section in your trigonometry booklet, so topic 7. There are 10 questions that you can have a look at there, and don't forget that the answers are down the bottom, so checking those answers and making sure that you're doing this correctly. I imagine most likely if you are having struggles with this, check that you haven't used this angle in here, because this is one of the things that kids always make mistakes with. They put the angle of 42 degrees in here when you've really got to draw that horizon on first, and that is your angle of depression. All right? So if you're probably getting it wrong, it's because you're putting the angle here, which is giving you this side as the opposite side, whereas this side is actually the opposite side of your triangle. Okay, keep safe out there, kids, and make sure you revise for this test. See you later.